It's time for PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin. Dr. Bob guides you through the latest veterinary techniques and procedures to keep your pets in the best of health. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. With your ears up and tails wagging, here is Dr. Bob.
Hello, pet lovers. Dr. Bob with PetSylvania here on a great Saturday with our initial production. And then, of course, we're on Thursday night at 7, and we are on it Monday at 4. So you get 3 chances to listen to me. What more could you possibly ask? We're brought to you by Esplin Medical, the makers of the most unique and most comfortable premium surgical scrubs on the market. They are environmentally friendly because they are made of 80% all-natural renewable resource fiber, 55% bamboo, 25% cotton, and only 20% poly, which is mostly made from recycled plastic bottles. So, I mean, there's another environmental friendly component of Esplin Medical. EsplinMedical.com. We are also going to have a table at the Business Expo next Saturday from 9 till 3. So stop by, take a look, feel what they like, buy a pair because you're going to absolutely love them. They're going to be next to the Sylvania Vet table, so you can stop by and say hi to us then as well. Elanco, makers of Trifexis and Comfortis, the next generation of flea control oral pills that mean that there's no application of medicines, of toxins, of poisons, of flea control to the skin. Generally, I think those topicals are pretty safe, but there's an awful lot of people that don't like doing that. But we had a dog in today. Fleas on the dog had been put a brand name topical on 3 days ago and still loaded with fleas. So we piggybacked Trifexis on board, and I'm confident that the fleas will be gone. Hills, maker of really high quality, super premium dog foods. We're going to talk later about their newest entry into the prescription diet market. But because there is a niche demand for grain-free foods, Hills has jumped on the grain-free bandwagon with some really high quality, all natural ingredients, with chicken being the number one. Their product is called Ideal Balance. You will find that in the pet stores in the same area where Science Diet products are. So trying to fill that niche and do it with high quality products is a goal that Hills always does. We don't want to leave it to companies that are not doing nutritional research and not doing everything they can to bring the best product to market. And then, of course, there's my office, Sylvania Vet. We are in the month of celebration. We have had Spirit Week at the office. Today we had tailgate party. We had slushies and hot dogs and desserts and just a general lot of fun for the staff to celebrate, clients to celebrate with us for being elected best vet for the 6th consecutive year. We just okayed all the video and the micro website that's going to go up on TV 13. Check out TV 13 ABC and go to Get Connected, and you're going to see Sylvania Vet on there pretty soon with a really cool 3.5-minute video that talks about the way we go to business. And we go to business different than any other veterinarian in this area, in a way we think that people that really want high quality care for the pet would want to come to Sylvania Vet. An article in Veterinary Practice News this month, headline was, "Vets are slow to change." Well, there aren't a lot of it, a number of different things. And we get into habits, we get into routines, we get into our comfort zone, and we don't change and we don't have problems. But what this article was talking about was that about maybe pushing 10 years now, the American Animal Hospital Association, the American Veterinary Medical Association, the two organizations that are responsible for, making recommendations and what is considered standard of practice, and what they did at that time for dogs and for cats a little later on was establish what was considered standard of practice for vaccinations for dogs. And what the article is saying is the vets are slow to change from the annual vaccinations for distemper, hepatitis, and parvovirus to the 3-year core vaccine for those same vaccines. It is now considered standard of practice to only give core vaccines for canine distemper, canine adenovirus type 2, which is hepatitis, and parvovirus every 3 years. If it's recommended more frequently than that, that's outside of the standard of practice and is generally considered unnecessary. Rabies has been a 3-year vaccine for dogs for a long, long time, and that 3-year rabies vaccine is given the second time a dog gets a rabies vaccination. It's given the first year of its life when they get their rabies between 3 and 4 months. It's a 1-year vaccine, and then when they get their boosters a year later, they get a 3-year vaccine. So now our dogs at Sylvania Vet get a 1-year rabies the first time, then they get a 3-year, and they get a 1-year distemper, hepatitis, parvo the first time, and then they get a 3-year after that. We still vaccinate annually against leptospirosis. We vaccinate every 6 months against bordetella, but in a new protocol that we're using, we're going to start using an injectable bordetella as our second 6-month booster, thinking that we might get some better coverage and prevent some of the off strains of the bordetella that we see out there when dogs are broken with a cough and they've been up to date on their vaccines. Just before I came to tape today's show, I finished a declaw on a cat. That seems totally appropriate because what I was going to talk about here was a condition that's called chronic pain syndrome in cats. It's secondary in almost every case to cats that have been declawed. Way to avoid the chronic pain syndrome is aggressive pain management from the time we anesthetize the cat with full, good, high-quality general anesthesia to local blocks in the paws so that those localized nerves are blocked, to using the surgical laser so that we get pain management with the surgical laser, and we don't have to use a tourniquet, which kills the circulation to the toes while the procedure is being done. So more what are considered traditional, or I would now call non-laser therapy declaws, always requires a tourniquet, and we know what happens and what the Red Cross tells us if we have to put a tourniquet on, that we are supposed to loosen it periodically, and that can cause some damage, micro damage at the toe level. And so then pain management immediately after surgery, pain management during the hospitalization, and we find by keeping a declaw overnight that there's a tremendous advantage to that, and they go home feeling much better. Finally, aggressive pain management going home for at least 3 days, and in some cases longer than that. It's very rare for us to see anything that we would consider chronic pain syndrome. Ear mites. We think about them as conditioning cats, but I just saw a puppy today that was adopted from the Humane Society that had ear mites in its ears. Ear mites are little insects. They're not microscopic. If you get them on a Q-tip or you get them on a piece of wax and you look really carefully or you use a 4-power magnifier, you're going to see them. They're little creepy crawlies that fortunately do not affect humans. They are pretty contagious amongst dogs and cats, and so intimate contact, the way animals like to rub against each other, is how it's transmitted. So there was another dog in the house, and what we ended up doing is treating both dogs precautionarily, one because we knew we had ear mites, and the other because we didn't want to just start bouncing it back and forth. The other thing is that in adult dogs, ear mites are not the most common thing that you'd see, and we get an awful lot of people that say, my dog's got ear mites, and I went to the pet store, and I bought some stuff, and it's still scratching its head, and it's still got dirty wax. Well, the reality is that in most cases, those dogs have, or cats for that matter, have an ear infection with bacteria, or in almost every case, yeast. And so ear mite medication is not going to do any good. It's just a waste of time and money. It's time to take a break, and we'll come back on the other side. Took a great big tumor off of a dog today, and it got me thinking about what I was going to talk about on the show. And I'm really hoping that this great big tumor doesn't come back as a mast cell tumor, because they can be very, very difficult to manage, can be very difficult to completely remove. This growth that I removed off the side of a dog was bigger than a softball. I certainly hope that comes back as something benign, and the word from the pathologist is we have clean margins tendons all the way around. That's always good news. But a mast cell tumor is a tumor. It's a small lump, and it can occur anywhere, but it's almost always in the skin. And so frequently, if we'll see a lump and we feel it and we say, yeah, it just doesn't quite feel right, we want to stick a needle in it. And so that's a common practice for veterinarians to stick a needle in a growth, take a look under the microscope at what we get out on that needle. And if it's a mast cell tumor, what mast cells produce histamine. Now, we've all heard about antihistamines, and the histamine is produced by the mast cell, and that's released in an allergic situation. So that's why we take antihistamines, is to counteract those histamines that are released in an allergic reaction. Well, mast cell tumors are graded 1 to 3. The biggest category is grade 2, and so it's kind of like a bell curve, with 1 being totally benign and nothing to worry about. Grade 2 being that big hump in the bell curve where you can have it close to 1 or you can have it close to 3. And 3 being highly aggressive, virtually malignant tumor that's going to be really bad news. It's those grade 2s that we deal with. And so you frequently will go in, remove the growth, try to be wide and deep. If you don't get it all, you'll go back and remove some more. Then you may do radiation, or you might do chemotherapy. And in the last few years, a new medication has come out called Palladia that originally I think we all thought this was going to be, the best thing since sliced bread. It isn't turning out to be quite that great when it comes to mast cell tumors, and it's now not considered the primary go-to product when you want to do a mast cell tumor treatment. It's there for us to use as a supplement to other chemo, as a supplement to radiation therapy, as we try to treat these high grade 2s and low grade 3 mast cell tumors. So I would certainly suggest, if you're into the vet and they suggest sticking a needle in some growths, that you okay that, because we want to get mast cell tumors off of there if we can. Only in the U.S. are veterinary technicians not considered veterinary nurses, and that's because the nursing associations object to that. I will tell you that I will put my vet techs, and we have a baker's dozen of vet techs at Sylvania Vet, I will put my vet techs up against any nurse in any hospital in our region for the quality of their education, for the quality of their care, and for the knowledge that they bring to our office absolutely every day. Our technicians do just they do it all, and they anesthetize the animals, they calculate those anesthesia doses, they take x-rays, they intubate, they start IVs, they monitor those IVs, they listen to heart and lungs every 3 hours on an animal with an IV, and they monitor our fluid pumps, they do everything, they catheterize males and female dogs if they need it. They are remarkable people, and we could not practice the level of care that we practice without our vet techs. So excuse me, all my nursing friends and on Facebook and in my office, but my vet techs are certainly veterinary nurses. One of the most interesting things that we've been learning as we've done more and more dental x-rays is teeth that look perfectly healthy and are truly unhealthy when we get a look at the inside of the tooth on the x-ray. And so then that leads us to having to figure out what to do. In most cases, that tooth is really beyond saving, and so it's an extraction. And so this is another place where dental x-rays fit in. If we do an extraction on a tooth, even though the root of the tooth that we take out may look intact, it may look perfectly normal, we always take an x-ray afterwards to be sure that there's no pathology left inside that tooth socket. It's called an alveolus, and we want to make sure that we've gotten everything out of there, that there's no unhealthy bone in there that we need to clean out as well before we then suture the gums. There's almost no situation where you've extracted a tooth that the gums haven't been sutured. And I've seen a lot of dogs in the office that have had dentals elsewhere, and the gums were not sutured, and that really opens up potential can of worms with infection getting down into the bone and infection getting down into that empty socket, so that it can then get into the circulation, because there's a lot of circulation into a tooth root socket. So suturing the gums should be a part of every dental, and it's something that we do all the time. I had a client in last week that is getting ready to move their cats, and they wanted to know what was the best way to handle that move. They already were noticing that the cats were kind of stressed because there were boxes out and shelves being emptied and people in and out of the house, and there was disruption. And cats don't deal well with disruption. One of the things that we suggest is that you might want to get a Nurture Calm collar for them to reduce their anxiety. You might want to think about getting them on in advance of the move, getting them on some anti-anxiety medication. We've had people actually board their animals so that they aren't there when the movers are in and out for fear that the cat might blitz out the door. And now we're ready to move, and the van is loaded, and where's the cat? Making sure that the cat has a secure place, and then when you move into the new house, what we want you to do is designate a room for the cat or the cats, and let it accommodate to its normal stuff, its bedding, its food dishes, its litter boxes. Don't start with all new stuff in the new house. Take some familiar smells with you, lay those down, and let them settle into one room before you let them start exploring the whole house. And I think you'll have more success with that if you do it that way. We have a series of handouts that were provided to us by Nestle Purina Myth or Fact series, and these are food facts. And so the first myth that we're going to deal with here: corn is poorly digested filler that causes allergies. The reality is that TV ads particularly will talk to you about corn being a filler. Corn is anything but a filler. Corn is a high caloric source of carbohydrates, omega-3 fatty acids, a non-allergenic type of gluten protein, which is beneficial to the animal. It's a great source for energy. We know that if we give ourselves a bowl of Kellogg's Corn Flakes and we put some strawberries on there and some milk, we're going to have a pretty good breakfast, and it's going to be pretty filling, and it's going to satisfy our hunger and keep us satiated for several hours. And the same thing is true with the corn in pet foods. There are grades of corn, and they don't tell you that on the bag as to what grain of corn has been used in a food. And there's grades of almost everything, so they don't tell you what grade of those things they use. But I'll tell you, most human foods are too expensive to put into dog food. So you start wondering, where do some of these nutrients come by when they say we're using whole chicken? Where does it come from? Because we know what it costs to buy chicken to put on the grill. They're not putting the same chicken in the pet food putting on the grill, that's for sure. We're going to take a break and come back and wrap this up. Okay, we're back to wrap it up. Sylvania Veterinary Hospital is one of the top veterinary practices in the region, and we've been voted, of course, best vet for 6 years, which is a nice honor. But one of the things that myself and my doctors and my staff are proud of is our community involvement. And we do just an awful lot of things in the community that are just there, because we like being a part of this community. We do every other month, we do adopt-a-thons. We just had one last Sunday. We've done an education seminar, and we're getting ready to do another one in April. By next week, I should have the April date locked in, and I'll be able to tell you what that seminar is going to be on reading pet food labels. So it's going to be, I think, really useful with a lot of question and answer period. We do street pickups on Holland, Sylvania from Central Avenue to Convent, both sides of the road, that 2-mile stretch there. We work with a number of area rescues, caring for those animals, giving them significant discounts. We mentor a significant number every year of high school and college students who are interested in veterinary medicine or are part of a medical technology program at either Whitmer or Northview. We have 2 Northview students with us right now. Last semester, we had 2 Whitmer students. We have a couple college kids that are coming in and spending time with us, so it's really gratifying for us to do that. We have 3 volunteer programs. We have a program called Cat Cuddlers for people that love cats and want to come spend some time with our blood donor cats upstairs. We have a program for adults called the Alohas. They're up front. They help us greet clients and help animals get in and out of the building. And we have a group of pet pals that are junior high and high school age kids that are interested in veterinary medicine and love animals, and they come and they get a real learning experience. We send monthly newsletters called the FYI, and you can register for that on our website at www.sylvaniavet.com. I'm on Facebook at Robert Esplin. Sylvania Vet has a page. There's tons of information there. I'm answering questions almost every day from Facebook friends about their pets. We provide speakers for meetings, and we do tours for groups. We've had Brownies, Girl Scouts, and Cub Scouts in the office 3 times in the last 10 days. We had a Eagle Scout coming in, spent an entire day with us so that he can get a veterinary merit badge. So we do a lot of those things that are to be part of the community. Hills with their new breakthrough diet. It's a game changer when it comes to weight loss, called Metabolic Diet. I would highly recommend, if you have a dog that has been diagnosed as obese, if your dog has been on a diet and you have failed, like 90% of the people who put their dogs on diet dog food and try to manage it with just diet dog food, no matter how hard we talk about it, we don't have a high success rate. Metabolic Diet is going to be a game changer. Elanco, thank you for bringing Trifexis and Comfortis to the market. They too are game changers when it comes to flea control, and it's something that I think that more and more people are going to be going to, so that we have the ease of administration of a once-a-month pill. Esplin Medical, premium, environmentally friendly, as comfortable as a pair of pajamas, surgical scrubs in 4 colors: seal blue, navy blue, Caribbean blue, and jade green. EsplinMedical.com, or you can go to Little Family Pharmacy on Sylvania or Westgate Family Pharmacy in Cricket West, and you can see the navy and Caribbean blue and buy from them. We will have some other retail outlets later. And then, of course, Sylvania Vet, one of our many services, is a fantastic grooming service with Nancy and Katie and their brusher bathers that work so hard at making your pet look great. So with that said, there's only one greatest pet, and it lives in your home.
You have been listening to PetSylvania with Dr. Bob Esplin on WSYLradio.com. PetSylvania is brought to you by Elanco, maker of Trifexis and Comfortis. Tune in every Saturday at 10 a.m. as Dr. Bob explains the latest in veterinary care and answers your questions. You can email your pet questions to requests@WSYLradio.com, and Dr. Bob will answer them on a future show.